Good morning.
We're going live, and there it is. It says we're live. I'm going to trust it. I hate to say that, but because it's YouTube, which means it's Google, which means you can't trust it. Because just like China, they lie. So what are we talking about this morning? Well, there's everything is the Wuhan Lung Flu. It's all the bug. It's all the quarantine. That's all that's happening apparently in the world. Uh, apart from the economy melting down uh, but hey, gas prices are low because Russia and OPEC are in a bidding war, and nobody's talking about that. I will say, 195 for a gallon of gas. All hail the God Emperor. But for real, this is all China's fault. And
Yeah, that's not racist, by the way.
no, it's a statement of immutable fact. Um, and here's the thing. I think we talked about this as early as the first or second week of January, um, when there was when there were first whispers of the Wu flu, as we first started hearing about the coronavirus in Wuhan and how it was spreading. Um, we did a show, and Tim Pool did something similar, but I think we took slightly different takes because he's a little more pro socialized medicine. But we pointed out that the fact of this thing taking root in a communist country, and more importantly, one that has totally centralized medicine, um, that's a problem for so many reasons. Principally among those reasons is the communist government regards the citizens as totally disposable, totally expendable. Um,
Yes, the state comes first. The
and
party comes first. And it
exactly.
must by virtue of any collectivist system.
And part of the nightmare of that is that it means that they're going to sacrifice the lives of citizens explicitly to protect the reputation of the party. Uh, I mean, just for sheer public relations purposes, they're more than happy to sacrifice the lives of citizens. One of the, and I know this is Breitbart, and some of you might, well, probably not my viewers, but some of the viewers out there might whinge a little bit, but uh, China is welding people shut in their homes to fight coronavirus. And lest you get squeamish at the use of yeah, here they are, just straight up welding people into their homes, nailing up boards, locking people down, um, straight up locking people in their apartments and leaving them to die. There, I'm not going to show any of those videos here where people have gone back after the fact and opened up some of these rooms, some of these apartments to find, oh, there's a couple here that was just locked in, and yeah, they've been dead for a week. But
Yeah, they literally died of dehydration because they couldn't go outside and get water.
yeah, lest you believe that this is just Breitbart. Um,
Well,
let's see. There's the Epoch Times, Danzy, E-Bombs World, the Daily Coin, CNN, Hood site I've never heard of, but okay. There's Reddit talking about it. Reddit's very far left leaning. So
except for the
just
parts that are not.
yeah, ba- yeah, except for the Donald, basically. um,
Well, I'll tell you the thing that actually gives that the most credence, and that's the fact that China's basically expelling foreign journalists.
yes,
Gee, I wonder why they would do that.
And that is why in this country we have a Bill of Rights, which does the two most important things that it does is it says the government can't shut you up, and the government in this country is not allowed to own a monopoly on the use of violence.
Yes, they can't shut you up and they can't disarm you. It is the original check and balance in our system. And yeah, we've got three branches of government that check and balance one another and all that. But the actual check and balance in any system is, do you have the ability to talk about fighting back? And do you have the ability to fight back?
And both of those things are extraordinarily important, since basically there have been no legitimate checks and balances left in the government since the passage of Marbury versus Madison. With the establishment of this bizarre and unconstitutional concept of judicial review, the era of checks and balances came to an end. And yes, I said Marbury versus Madison, so that was 150 years ago.
Well, it's a small distinction, but the Supreme Court, when it ruled on the constitutionality of things, it was supposed to be more focused on ruling something as in violation of the Constitution.
No. Prior to Marbury versus Madison, the court had no authority to rule on the constitutionality of a law. That's an authority that they manufactured with the finding in Marbury versus Madison, explicitly so that they didn't have to make a determination on that case.
I was about to make a distinction. It's one of those things that was small but huge. What happened is, in that case, it wasn't that the Supreme Court was barred from saying something was constitutional, but once they assumed the authority of being the final arbiter of what is and is not constitutional, that's when the paradigm shifted. Now we point to the Supreme Court and go, well, the Supreme Court said blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I mean, that's all well and good, but that's actually not where constitutional authority was supposed to be derived from. Because, once upon a time, the Supreme Court told Dred Scott that he had to go back to his plantation, just as a really super obvious example. Yeah. Once upon a time, the Supreme Court said the right to privacy meant you could have abortions. Just little things like that. And hey, for any lefties that might be watching, once upon a time, the Supreme Court said corporations are people. Just saying, just super saying.
Which, by the way, corporations are absolutely people.
Yes.
That's why it's a corporation.
As in, like, corpus? What?
Oh.
Like that Latin word that means something? I feel like it's related to the word corpse and the core, and I don't know. Maybe I'm looking for Latin where there's none to find. But yeah. If it wasn't first thing in the morning, I would take a sip of beer and say in vino veritas.
In Java veritas.
Fair enough. Anyhow, but yeah, way back, several weeks ago, we talked about this, and we said that this had the potential to explode and infect hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, because of China's malfeasant response, because they're not looking at the people first. They're not even looking at the disease first. They're looking at the state first. The state has to come before the people or even the disease itself. And I remember that because I predicted we would hit 20,000 confirmed cases at a minimum. We were hovering somewhere around 10,000. And I said, I guarantee you're dealing with a bunch of commie bastards. You can take whatever number they're giving you, and you can at least double it. And by that math, there are actually 20,000 cases of coronavirus. They're just not being honest about the other 50%.
Right.
Well, gosh, now that, like yesterday, all the updates said we'd gone over 180,000. I strongly suspect that today we'll go over 200,000. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually temporarily see exponential growth. And by the end of next week, we see 250,000 to 300,000 cases of coronavirus. Because we don't even know everybody that's got it yet, just for one. And for two, um, we're never going to know everybody in China that had the coronavirus. Oh, they snuffed it out. Oh, did they really? Oh, okay. That's interesting. How'd they do that? Oh, yeah, by welding people in their homes. And the other thing that's kind of spooky to me about all this is, like, for example, New Jersey apparently is just going to have a statewide curfew. Wait, what? It's cool for a governor to just say, "No, you got to go home by 9 o'clock because of a disease."
Now, in
Uh,
fairness, the curfew in Jersey is a strong recommendation. um, I don't expect there's going to be any real enforcement on that.
yeah, how do you enforce it? Is it really going to be like V for Vendetta, where if you're caught on the streets after 9 o'clock and you don't have a super special pass, you get arrested and disappeared? Like, it's and to be fair, it could happen in Jersey. It's a blue state, so it's more difficult for them to access guns. And apparently, Jersey has this bizarre quirk where you can't even pump your own gas. Like, they are kind of an authoritarian place. But even that's stupid. Like, having a curfew, the little bit of travel that is going to happen, you're now going to compact in a smaller number of hours in the day, which is actually going to make transmission of infection more likely. You want that all spread out as much as possible. But if from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. you're being strongly encouraged not to go anywhere, well,
Yeah,
well,
and let's be clear. We actually want as many people as possible to become infected and survive. Because basically, if we and I'm hey, I think the social distancing thing is, while it's inconvenient and while it's devastating to world economy, it it's not an imprudent measure because, for one, right now we have no idea what the actual lethality of this disease is. Okay, you're hearing numbers out there like, oh, it's 1.6%. It's twice as deadly as the seasonal flu. Oh no, it's 4.6%. It's 12% in Italy. It's this, it's that. Okay, there is no knowing. There are guesstimates at best of the actual lethality until you have a large number of recovered patients. You can't say that 10% or 1% or whatever of people who contract the disease die until you have a sampling of people who contract the disease and then have a conclusion, either recover fully or die. Right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, and
tens of thousands of people have already contracted this, been tested, entered treatment, and recovered. I think the last number I saw was 68,000 cases have been resolved positively. Um, so that, but even then, when you say, if you take the number of cases that have had a resolution and take a percentage of those who died versus those who recovered, you've still got the whole sweeping scope of everyone who still has the disease. You've actually got 3 numbers to work with, and you can't just take a hard figure from that and say, okay, it is a 2% lethality rate. It has a variable lethality rate depending on so many factors. By the way, one of which is countries with fully socialized medicine, like Italy, not doing so good. And, China!
Yeah, and we already know China's cooking their books. And that's something I'd like to tag on just real quick. If you are going to get sick with a relatively new, novel, bizarre, unknown disease, you want to get sick with it right here in this country. That's what you want. Oh, it should be free and it should be, no. Shut up for a second. Just shut up for a second. So far, the lethality rate in this country, so far, is running below a lot of those other averages. And I think it comes down to the fact that, A, Donald Trump restricted flights to China way back in January because, there was this disease over there and they're lying commie bastards. And then, B, we do have an excellent first world medical system. And like it or not, we've got an excellent first world medical system because there are elements of capitalism in our medical system. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of problems with it. Like, it is expensive as hell to get sick in the United States. No question about it. But I would say that that's where the government control has actually tipped the balance in the wrong direction. So yeah, I mean, we're not going to know how lethal it is. And there are certain things that are going to have to be taken into account because, like if you get the flu, just as an example, getting the flu right here in Georgia, in the United States where we live, is a totally different ball game from getting the flu in some place like, I don't know, the wilderness of Nigeria. It's like, we have potable water basically everywhere in this country. You can stay hydrated, makes you a lot less likely to die. But if you have to walk a half a mile to the watering hole to get your water every day and you're too sick to move, okay. And so there's all these secondary factors associated with the coronavirus because it's not normally the virus itself per se that kills you. It's the associated pneumonia that you get because of the virus. That's what actually kills you, at least so far as we know. And so putting all that together, there's just no way to know. There's no way to know. But at least you didn't get sick in China because you'd be locked inside your house. Man, brother, I got to tell you, I'm already ready for Firearms Friday tomorrow, just so we can talk about something different and maybe tell a few jokes about how guys like us are ready for this because, well, I have literally thousands of rounds.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hell,
Right.
I've got hundreds in buckshot alone. I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty good over here. All right,
Okay.
brother. That's all I've got. We will see y'all tomorrow. Y'all be safe out there. Stay clean, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. It's time to go to work. All righty.
Commie bastards.
Right.
Right. Later, bro.